Hey everybody, I'm Andrew of the Movie Buff Pains, and I'm here with another video about animation for you. Last time I started a segment about Disney movies and the eras that they are in, and I'm going to be continuing that today. This is part 2 of the eras of Disney. So to refresh anyone that hasn't caught my first video yet, I'll be showing off the physical copies of each movie, as well as giving my thoughts and a rating. Today we're going to be covering at least 2 more eras. I originally told everyone in the first video I was going to cover the other 4, but then when I did the count on just how many movies that was, I realized this is probably going to have to be a 3-part series. So today will be part 2. In my first video, I covered the Golden Age, the Wartime Era, and the Silver Age. And the Silver Age ended with the death of Walt Disney, and that was the end of his direct involvement in the films. After Walt Disney passed, the company was a little lost. They weren't sure in what direction they wanted to go, and they also were trying to still grow the business and, make it profitable, which was difficult for them without his guidance. The era that came directly after Walt Disney's passing is known as the Bronze Age, or another name that a lot of people use is the Dark Age, which definitely makes sense. This was a dark period for Disney's history, but the films that came out of it were actually very good in retrospect. When they originally came out, a lot of them were hit or miss, and some of them were just panned by critics, unfortunately. But upon watching them now, of course, they're all considered classics. So we'll go ahead and dive into the Bronze Age. And the first movie that came out was the Aristocats. I have the Disney Movie Club exclusive slipcover on this one, which I was really excited to get. My wife found that one for me. The Aristocats is a super fun film. I love anything involving cats and dogs especially, so this one is one I really enjoyed when I was a kid. And I really like cartoons that are set in Paris. There is wonderful scenery, and just the overall ambiance of the film is really, really nice. The characters are so fun and cute to watch, and I can't help but love a band of cats that know how to play jazz music. That's just a fun time all around. So I would definitely give Aristocats 4 stars, definitely one of my favorites to come out of this particular era. The next movie to come out of the Bronze Age was Robin Hood. This is just the standard Blu-ray, but it's still really nice slipcover and everything. Robin Hood is such a fun story, especially this particular version that Disney put out. And there's something about anthropomorphic animals that's just really cool. It's just the classic story. The characters are a hoot to watch, honestly. Especially, I'd have to say, Prince John. He is just so over the top and whiny, honestly. Something that, honestly, I could imagine royalty of that era being in all reality. I would give Robin Hood 4 stars. It is such an enjoyable movie. So fun to watch. The next movie that came out was The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. This contained, I believe, 3 different Winnie the Pooh shorts, and they kind of tied them all together as if you were reading one of the original Winnie the Pooh books. This is just the standard Blu-ray as well. But Winnie the Pooh is something, everyone has had to have enjoyed at some point in their childhood, I think. Every character is just so amusing, and you can't help but smile as you watch the adventures of these stuffed animals that don't quite understand how the world exactly works, but they're trying their best. I really enjoy this film, but compared to some of the other stuff that has come out from Disney, I realize that it's not a perfect film, and I give it a 3.5 star rating for that reason. It is still really enjoyable, and if I ever want to feel like I'm 4 years old again, I always know where to go for that. The next movie that came out during the era, and I feel like this movie in particular is probably one of the reasons that this era also got the nickname of the Dark Age. That would be The Rescuers. This is a double set that has both the original and its sequel. I'll be talking about the sequel a little later on in this video, but for now I'll just be discussing the original. The Rescuers was so much darker in retrospect compared to the other films that had come out. I mean, it's about a little girl being kidnapped and these mice that try to rescue her, and the girl's being kept on a sinking boat in a bayou guarded by a couple of giant gators. How did Disney get onto this particular story? It is such a dark turn in compared to anything else that had come out before then, and even compared to some of the stuff they put out now. But it is still a really good film. I mean, you can't help but cheer on for these two little mice as they try their best to save this little girl from her abuser. And it is a really just solid film across the board, and I would definitely give that one 4 stars. It's a really good film, and it's definitely one, if you like your animation to be a little more maybe serious, that's definitely one to watch. The next movie to come out also solidifies the nickname of the Dark Age. That movie is The Fox and the Hound. This is the double feature set with the direct-to-disc sequel. Of course, I'll just be talking about the original. The Fox and the Hound is such a good film, but it is depressing. And yet, I can't help but watch it and watch it again, just because it not only makes me feel a little depressed, but it also makes me kind of happy. The whole journey between these two characters is just one you can't help but follow along with, from their innocent childhood to their more serious adulthood. And I don't know, maybe this movie was trying to warn some of us kids just what could happen as you grow up. And we probably all should have taken that to heart a little more, maybe. But it is such an amazing film, and I love to rewatch it because it just gives me all the feels across the board. And I definitely give that one a 4-star rating, possibly even 4.5. I haven't quite decided on that one, but it is still such a good film. If you haven't seen it for any reason, please watch it. The next one that came out, again showing Disney's darker side, was The Black Cauldron. Of all the movies Disney hasn't put out on Blu-ray, this is the one I'm most mad about. They could at least slap it into the movie club for all I care, just so it exists that I'll be able to get it one day. But Disney has thrown this one out their window just because it was a financial flop. And it was also panned by critics, which I don't understand why. It's a really enjoyable fantasy film. It has got a really good dark villain, and it also takes itself a lot more seriously in tone. And it is so good all around. I give this one a 4-star rating. It is just so enjoyable, and it feels like a great classic to me, but Disney seems to be fine with just, shoving it under the rug, which is a real shame. They need to own up to even their biggest mistakes, because it's worth them being out in the world. Yes, this one is available on DVD, and it's also on Disney Plus now, but I would really still like to own a physical copy of it on Blu-ray one day, hopefully, if they ever decide to change their mind. Not likely. But definitely a good film, in my opinion, and definitely worth a watch. I know this one is one that not as many people have seen, but if you at all like the fantasy genre, I definitely suggest you give it a try. It is a fun watch all around. So yeah, 4 stars. And definitely also one of my favorites to have come out of this era. Next up was The Great Mouse Detective. This is just the standard Blu-ray, but I was really excited to get this with the slipcover. It was hard to find. The Great Mouse Detective is a good introduction to a world like Sherlock Holmes, which is exactly what Disney was going for, of course. It was a cartoon version of Sherlock Holmes. But it is such a fun little mystery to follow along, and I can't help but love Ratigan, the villain. He is truly vile and just over the top dramatic, But that's what you get when you cast Vincent Price to voice the villain. It is such a good combination for that reason. I definitely give that one 4 stars because I love the dark tone, I love the characters, especially the villain, and it is really an enjoyable film, and especially if you like stuff to be of a more serious tone. Again, this whole era, there's a reason it got nicknamed the Dark Age. Disney went for a lot more serious tone with several of its films. Even though they all have lighthearted moments, they definitely took a turn that I wish they had stuck to in some of their more recent stuff, honestly. The last one of this era was Oliver and Company. This is the 25th anniversary edition. This was also the original Blu-ray release, I believe. Oliver and Company. Again, cats and dogs. I love that winning combination. And I also really enjoy the story of Oliver Twist, which this is of course based on. The characters are all so unique and individual, and you can't help but root for these dogs that steal from other people. And watching Oliver find a companion in the little girl he gets adopted by is adorable beyond belief. And the music is so much fun in this. I mean, you can't help but want to sing along when you've got the likes of Billy Joel and Bette Midler on the cast for singing. It is just enjoyable all around. I give this one a 4-star rating as well. I know that I've given a 4-star to a good portion of these films, but it's because they are actually really enjoyable. Even if, according to fans and critics at the time, these weren't the greatest films to come out of Disney, they are still so much fun, and they're all classics in their own right. So definitely a good era for Disney, despite what they or anyone else might say to the contrary. From the Bronze Age or Dark Age, we go into what is probably considered the best period of Disney's history. I'm sure a lot of people know this one. It is known as the Renaissance era. This is when Disney took off. They became huge in the box office, huge in the animation world, and just became popping out hit after hit after hit. This is when some of their best animation occurred. And even compared to some of the films they put out today, these are still some of the best movies that Disney has ever put out, and probably will never be able to top. The movie to kick off the Renaissance was The Little Mermaid. This is the Diamond Edition 3D Blu-ray. Really excited to have the 3D versions of a lot of the films. This movie is truly a classic. The actual story of The Little Mermaid is depressing and really tragic, and Disney's version improves upon it 100% in my personal opinion. I would rather watch this anytime than try to read Hans Christian Andersen's original tale. The Little Mermaid has great music, has amazing animation. The characters are all relatable, and everything just wraps up so nicely together into this wonderful film. And I can't help but sing along to just about every song from this movie. It is truly infectious, it's amazing, and I will gladly give it 4.5 stars. It is a near flawless film, and it is always worth watching whenever you get the chance. After Disney had that knockout to start the Renaissance, they went a slightly different direction, which was interesting to me, and they made the sequel to The Rescuers Down Under, which is also in this set. The Rescuers Down Under was definitely an interesting choice to have come out. It was a very just overall interesting movie to choose to do a sequel for. And it definitely is fun. It takes place in Australia. You get to see a lot of cool animals. And the villain was really good in it as well. Overall, I'd give that one a 3.5. It's definitely worth watching, but probably not the best film that came out during the Renaissance, in my personal opinion. The next movie to come out was Beauty and the Beast. This is the Diamond Edition 3D Blu-ray with its lenticular slip. This is probably one of my favorite physical releases ever. In fact, I definitely know it is. If you watch my first video, I show this one off and say how much I love it. Disney doesn't make them like this anymore, which is unfortunate. This is truly a beautiful piece to have in my collection, and I'm so happy to own it. Beauty and the Beast is probably amongst my favorite films from the Renaissance. The music is amazing. The animation is beautiful. This was one of the first times Disney really used 3D technology to their advantage and made that incredible ballroom scene. And it is just such an enjoyable movie all across the board. This one I definitely give 5 stars to. It has been a favorite of mine since childhood. It is still a favorite of mine to watch. I love this movie to death, and I love having this copy, and I of course also bought the 4K copy as well when that got released. I was very happy to get that edition as well, just to have it with the HDR coloring and everything. The next movie to come out was Aladdin. This is the Diamond Edition, Best Buy exclusive lenticular. Hope you can see the effect there. This is another favorite of mine from childhood. I couldn't get enough of it when I was a little kid. I also own the 4K copy of this as well. Blanket statement, if Disney has put a movie out on 4K, I have it. I'm sure I'll show those off to you sometime in a future video. But back to Aladdin here. Aladdin is so upbeat, colorful. Genie is one of the greatest characters that's ever graced Disney's movies. Robin Williams was the perfect casting for that. There will never be a casting choice like that ever again, honestly, for a Disney character. The music is fantastic, the scenery is beautiful, and you can't help but sing along to this one as well. Aladdin gets 4.5 stars in my book. It is a near perfect film, and I love rewatching it all the time. The next movie to come out in the Renaissance was The Lion King. This is the Diamond Edition 3D Blu-ray, another one of my favorite releases. It is a wonderful copy to own. I'm so happy I was able to get my hands on that one. The Lion King is a great retelling of a classic Shakespeare tale. The music is phenomenal. I cannot get over the opening of that film. The animation is gorgeous. They made such great scenery out of the Pride Lands, and the characters just pop out and come to life. Everything about this film is amazing to me, and it is one of my absolute favorite animated films to have ever come out. It gets 5 stars. To me, it is a perfect film. I have nothing against it at all, and it is wonderful to rewatch time and time again. The next movie was Pocahontas. This is a double feature set with the direct-to-disc sequel, of course, just talking about the original right now. Pocahontas is a good film. The music is beautiful, and the animation is really good too. But I feel like it hasn't aged quite as well. Not in terms of animation, more of the story itself. It's still a really enjoyable film, but it's definitely one that I only enjoy every once in a while. I give Pocahontas 4 stars. It's a good film, but definitely not as good as some of the other stuff that had come out by this point. The next movie to come out was The Hunchback of Notre Dom. This is another double feature set with the direct-to-disc sequel. The Hunchback is the darkest film to come out of Disney's Renaissance, and definitely good reason for that. The overall story is just rather scary in comparison. We're talking about a man of faith nearly burning a city to the ground just because he's got a thing for a gypsy girl. It is rather terrifying to watch as an adult because you catch all these themes that you didn't notice as a kid. But it is still such a good film. It's got some great songs. The art in this movie is beautiful. They capture the essence of Paris so well. Another animated Paris film that is up there for me. But it is a great film all around. I really enjoy it, and I like to rewatch it pretty often, and I give that one 4.5 stars. Again, it's an underrated gem. If for some reason you haven't seen it, watch it. It is worth it, and I think you can appreciate it a little more as an adult, because I feel it's definitely a darker tone that maybe adults would appreciate more. The next to come out was Hercules. This is the standard Blu-ray with its slipcover, still very nice. Hercules was a good return to form for Disney. It's lighthearted, it is so fun, it's got great songs in it, and you can't help but enjoy every second of it. The hero is amazing, the leading lady is great, the villain is top-notch. James Woods as a villain just works on so many levels. Hercules is a fun movie to watch at any time, and I enjoy it a lot. Definitely 4 stars, easy. It is just so much fun, so colorful, so all over, and great. Just so entertaining. We're getting closer to the end of the Renaissance. The next movie that came out was Mulan. This is the double feature with the direct-to-disc sequel. Mulan is so cool. The music is so catchy in this. The scenery is amazing. I mean, it's China. It just is naturally beautiful. And having the leading lady be so awesome is such a plus. This is truly a classic film, and I hate saying that because I now am realizing just how old this movie is, and it makes me feel even older. But this is such a fun film. I can't help but love all the characters, and I love the story, and I can't wait to see what Disney is going to do with the live-action remake. I've heard some of the early word about it, and I'm really excited. So hopefully they do a good job with that one once they open the theaters again. The last movie to come out in Disney's Renaissance was Tarzan. This is just the standard Blu-ray, but still really nice. Tarzan is a good film. The animation style was improving constantly. The jungle scenery was amazing, especially with them using more 3D technology. And not to mention the soundtrack to this movie is phenomenal. Phil Collins did such great work for this movie, and I love the soundtrack to death. I can't get enough of it, honestly. I give Tarzan 4 stars. Great movie, even better soundtrack. So yeah, after all of those films, I definitely realized that I'm going to have to do a part 3, where I will cover everything after the Renaissance. I hope you guys enjoyed this new video. I will definitely try and get part 3 filmed very soon and up for you guys to enjoy. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit that little bell icon for the notifications. Make sure to let me know what you guys would like to see involving animation. I'm always open to ideas, and I love talking about everything animated. And definitely keep an eye out for part 3 of the eras of Disney. I will definitely be trying to get that up as soon as I can, so we can be up to speed on the most current Disney films. So that's everything I have for you today. Thank you guys again for watching. I hope to see you here for the next video. Definitely looking forward to it. You guys have a good one. Stay safe out there.